welcome to Bluejay Chat. I'm your host, Nathan Meyer. Alongside me this time is Derek Woellner, the mayor of Merrill here. John Sample could not be with us for this episode, so this will be a special edition right here on Merrill Area Public Schools YouTube channel. Derek, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So there's a few things that we like doing here on Bluejay Chat, talking about kind of the things that are going on throughout the school district, but we're talking city here. We're talking the entire city, and you're also on the Lincoln County board. So what's going on within our whole county here? Because there's got to be a lot of good things going on here.
Well, last night we had a county board meeting, and an interesting resolution was passed. We will be putting a nonpartisan redistricting question on the ballot. So for people that are 18, which is a small percentage of the high school population, but high schoolers, if you talk to your parents, it's a great way to start getting into politics. So this ballot question will help advise state legislatures about what their constituents want. Nonpartisan redistricting, it's an attempt to end gerrymandering, which is this thing where they draw crazy borders, kind of politicians choosing who their voters are rather than the voters choosing who the politician is. And the next time that Wisconsin will have its new districts drawn will be after the 2020 census. So it's important that we get our voices heard now so that we can hopefully end gerrymandering before the next census. So that was exciting on the county level. City level, we just had the fair. It was pretty awesome. Cheese curds and great rides.
And I mean, there was bull riding this year, there was monster trucks, there was the demo derbies were once again a big market, I heard. Unfortunately, I could not make it.
Yeah, the grandstands were pretty full. It was, I'd say, 7/8. It's hard to tell because people
are always moving and stuff.
But it was quite a crowd.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I mean, that's definitely a great thing to still have, especially after some of the turmoil that between the county and the city with that whole fairgrounds in general the last few years, to now finally have something that is coming back to what we kind of knew as one of the better times of the year, even though it's a little later in the year. Because now these kids who got to experience the fair and have fun at the fair the entire week, well, now they have to turn around here, go right to school. So that's unfortunate for them, but I'm sure they'll get over that pretty quickly.
And I believe the dates will shift back. I believe the reason it happened this year, I could be wrong. I think it was something to do with the ride vendor.
That is correct. I have contacts on the fair board, and the best ride vendor in the state area that they were looking at. These were the only dates that they had available because they got on the ball a little late.
And I think those in charge of the fair had heard concerns from previous years about the vendor, and they wanted to make sure that they got a good vendor because I think we had switched a couple of years ago.
We had switched, and the vendors that we got were kind of just, it was lackluster. They didn't really, it was kind of the budget vendor, if you will.
Yeah.
And everyone responded, very poorly to it, as is their right, obviously. And basically, as you know, it's politics. When the people that are coming to pay the money to ride these rides say, no, we don't like these people, what do? You change it, right?
Yeah. So I'm really happy with how the fair board heard the concerns and took the steps necessary to give the people what they want, basically.
Exactly.
And I think it will continue improving. I know when the property shifted from the county to the city, it's almost kind of starting fresh, but things are rolling.
So what many people obviously know is you are the mayor, obviously, here in the city, but what they don't know also, too, probably, is that you're on the county board, too. Tell us what your role is on the county board.
So on the county board, I'm a District 4 supervisor, which is kind of west of Kate Goodrich.
Okay.
I think Kate's even included in my district. And there's 22 districts, which is the entire county is broken into those districts. As a county board supervisor, I serve on a few committees, and then we all come together once a month and make the big county board decisions.
Right. So, with being on the county and the city, obviously, you want both to succeed, because if one succeeds, the other should succeed as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a, especially when stuff is working together like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I work a lot with the school district, alongside Dr. John Sample and a lot of other great administrative members on here. What would you say the best way for Merrill area public schools and the city to work together, in order to kind of unify it? What would you say, in your opinion, and I'll ask Dr. John Sample this too and see what he says, we'll compare notes. How would you say that they should work together the best, in your opinion?
I think the key is to have communication. The school district knowing what the city's up to, the city knowing what the school district is up to. With communication, you can find common goals, and then you can work together on them. I think other than, I don't know, like the specifics of what we can do, I don't have any example for it. Do you have?
Well,
anything?
I know one of the things Dr. John Sample has talked, in tremendous lengths with us, just kind of fill you in. If you haven't watched Bluejay Chat, go watch it. It's on YouTube, Merrill Area Public Schools YouTube channel. One of the things we've talked about before is the school district has gone out and talked to local businesses and seen what they need out of, workers, so that they can turn around and help teach these kids these skills that just regular jobs need, all these jobs need, because they're in tune. They know every kid's not going to go to college anymore. Every kid's not going to, join the military. Some of these guys are just going to, guys and girls are just going to come out and go right into work. So they're wanting to teach these students the skills that they need so that they're better prepared, ready to go in. Knowing that, I think the city could utilize that too to help prepare students in other ways. Not 100% sure how. I don't know what the city's needs are, or what the city would want students to know, whether it's just politics in general, especially on the local level, and realizing that your local government is where you make all the changes. I believe that's a huge thing. If we're not going to change what the national level or even really the state level is going to do in a whole. We can only change what happens here in Merrill and Lincoln County. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, and one of the reasons I ran was to try and get young people participating in government earlier on. If you look at the data, 18-year-olds don't vote as much as the older generations. It seems that we kind of slowly build up into it. But I think that if that age group, the 18 to 30-year-olds, came out in larger numbers, I think we would see a lot more change, even on the state and national level, because you get to vote for your state legislatures and governor the second you turn 18.
Right. I can't remember exactly which state it is, but I heard on the radio the other day, one of the New England states actually has a 14-year-old running for governor.
Yeah.
And he's actually legitly in the race right now.
I believe it was Vermont.
I want to say it's Vermont too, yeah. But if people don't know that story.
No. And so I think it was a couple months before my election, I had put a Facebook poll out because I had this crazy idea. In Wisconsin, there's no law saying that a city can't change the voting age to a younger age. So Wisconsin's one of, I think it was 13 states in the nation where we could lower our voting age for city elections. And I had asked, would people support this? And it was like 90% of people said no. But I remember back when I was 14, 15, 16, I thought that I should have a say in who our mayor is. So it's not something I'm pursuing in the near future, because I think the point was made. Most people don't support it, but
I think most people can especially those over 18, and even some under 18 can agree. 15 to 18-year-olds sometimes don't always know why people do why anyone does what they do, why parents say, no, you're grounded for doing this because you were out late or anything. So I can understand where those 90%.
Yeah, my argument would be, if there's one kid that's 16 that's mature and responsible enough to vote, to make an informed decision, why should we take his right away just because his peers may not have the same mindset that he does?
And I can understand that, and it all comes down to, just just age. You use what you know to help influence your parents, like you had said earlier in the show.
And real quick, just because you can't vote doesn't mean that your representatives won't listen to you. I think.
Oh, right, exactly.
Myself and anyone on the city council, if a 5-year-old comes and wants to tell us something, we're going to listen.
Especially if they have all their points put together, and I think that's what this kid in Vermont has everything so laid out well together on what he want to do and get done. Everything is so informed, and everything is right on cue, where everyone's going, wait a minute, this kid knows what he's doing. And that's, I think, what other people have seen with you going into the election, because you might not be 14, but you're sure not, 62 years old and, been around the block numerous times and retired from all your jobs. You are how old now?
25.
25 years old. Graduated class of 2011.
Yeah, so did you.
Yeah, I know. That's been said on this show multiple times. Class of 2011. And to sit here and say, well, okay, I was smart at 16, 17. I can say at 25, almost 26, I'm a lot smarter now than I was then. I think you can agree with that.
Yeah, I would.
So,
but at that age, you don't think that's going to be true.
No, you can't think
does.
that. You think you're indestructible and you know everything. And now I look, oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. So with only being 25 years old, what's nice, I think, and I think you can elaborate more on why you do this, and is I've heard from the younger peers and even the older peers that have been around that block multiple times, have seen numerous leaders come and go. You're using the social media aspect to inform everyone of what's going on. You're not going, say, the Donald J. Trump route of tweet absolutely every single thing.
Yeah.
But you put everything as the facts are, like they would read, say, in the minutes of.
And I would slightly disagree. I think social media is, instead of facts, I see social media as a way to tell people how I feel, because the facts will come out in the government setting, but a lot of times what's missed in government is the emotions. And I think people expect politicians to be robots, but that's not true. And I think conventionally politicians hide their emotion, and the best politicians are usually the ones that can conceal their emotions the best. But I don't think that's what people want anymore. I think people want someone that is open with how they're feeling, because it's, when you're making a decision, the facts are of the are the most important, but you can't deny that the emotion has some sort of bias on the final decision.
I wouldn't say that politicians should be emotionless either. One of the things that I like though when you post stuff out is that you put both sides out there, and yes, you put how you feel on there, and I can respect that and understand why you do that. But you put both sides out there on why this is such a big deal. The number of people that I know are getting into local politics is just spreading out even farther than what it was, say, 3-4 years ago when I first got into the political arena. Now, granted, I did not get into the political arena, to say run for mayor like you did. I got into it just because I felt strongly about how my city is doing. And I know you do too, so.
Yeah.
One of the things that the city is doing though is they got the new apartment buildings coming up.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's a city-funded apartment building? Or
Kind of.
So you can elaborate on that.
So the state law allows us to create a housing authority, which is it's a governmental body, but it's kind of separated. It's integrated, but also separated from the normal city government.
Kind of like Merrill Productions is here.
Yeah. So with the Merrill Housing Authority, this is one of their projects, and I'm from the west side, the 6th Ward.
Right.
So I was super happy to see such a huge development on that side of town. I think the building looks great. I'm hoping I can make it to their open house. Do you have the date?
Yeah, open house is September 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I believe they're just showing everything, how everything looks, what everything's going to include. But if you cannot make it due to work, obviously, because it is on Friday, if you cannot make it due to work or anything, Merrill Area Public Schools, Merrill Productions, will have it on our Vibit and YouTube channel under our community stuff for everyone to see. So we were asked to come and
awesome.
Take care of that. So,
and I'm not sure if I can make it with work, but I'll be happy to watch your video.
Yeah, that's definitely the best way to do things, right?
Yeah.
So with that though, this is going to house a lot more people here in Merrill, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's definitely still, so the Housing Authority, I don't want to say it's their main focus, but they really try to help families that need housing, low-income families that have trouble navigating the normal market. And a lot of people will be moving out of Park Place, which is across the street, into this new building, and then they'll be remodeling the building that's across the street, making the apartments more modern. So
the Park Place has been around for quite a long time.
Yeah, I believe the 1970s.
Yeah.
But I spend a lot of time down in Kitchenette Park playing disc golf, and I don't know, I just think it looks awesome. The building blends so well in with the landscape.
It gives a more modern touch to a side of town that generally doesn't get a lot of love in this town. Most of our stuff is obviously on the east side.
Yeah, which is important because
the highway is there. Yeah,
but like you put it perfectly. It's giving a huge boost to that side of town.
Right. So as mayor, obviously, you have unlimited. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have unlimited power, but you have a generally big influence within the Common Council. Is that fair to say? That you'd be the
not a voting influence, but I think my voice is amplified by the position.
Right. But there's 8 other people that do all the voting on this stuff. And I don't think I think one of the things that is lost on this younger generation, and I think you could help us with this, is how do we get a hold of our older people if we have anything that, major concerns, or we want them to hear our voice on a decision that comes up that they have to make, and the public should be well aware of that.
So all 8 aldermen have an email, which is listed on the city website. I believe you go city government, elected officials, and then it'd be on that page. And that's a slight change from the previous council where one of them didn't have an email. But all of them will respond to email. In order to find who your alder person is, there's maps on the city website as well that you find your house and it'll show you which district you're in. But you are free to contact all of them if you wish.
But I hope so. That's
yeah. And my email's on there as well, along with my phone. I believe, if not all, most of the aldermen have their phone or cell phone on there if you leave a voicemail. From what I've heard and from my experience, they all get back to you within 48 hours.
Right, because they all lead busy lives too.
Yeah, it's not a full-time position for any of us. I'm part-time, they also part-time.
Right. So I know, I don't know if you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to, and I can cut this out, obviously. You talked to me. We've had a number of conversations off screen, obviously. You've talked to me about possibly making a full-time mayor's position.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. That way, viewers can kind of get acclimated to what you're envisioning here.
So it's not something that would happen within the next 3.5 years, because it would need, at least in my opinion, I'm not sure about the full legality of it, but I wouldn't be comfortable with myself stepping into a full-time position during the term. And I also don't want people to think that I'm making it full-time so that I can then run to be a full-time mayor. So if we do make it full-time within the next 4 years, I wouldn't be running in the next election, just because I want the position to be full-time, and I don't want the perception to be that I made it that way just for myself. I think it's important to have a full-time mayor, just because if it's part-time, the people that can do the best job, that can devote the most time, it's limited to people that are independently wealthy or retired. And I just don't think that's a limit that we should put on such an important position. If it's full-time, anyone will be able to give it the time that it really deserves. I'm frustrated quite a bit by just not having enough time to do more mayoral things. It's people expect, myself included, that the mayor should be able to give 100% of his mind, like time and just thinking to.
Right, because that's the perception that we've grown up knowing is like the mayor of New York City. That is all he does.
Yeah.
Is be the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand where that comes from. This was a news blast to me that the mayor was not a full-time position. So,
and it's, if we're looking at costs, a part-time mayor right now, I'm making over $12,000. I think it's about $12,500 a year, and a full-time mayor, I'm not sure exactly how it will end up, but I'm going to push to make it based on the median income of Merrill residents. So as we grow wages in the city, the mayor's basically compensated for that. it would match.
It would fluctuate according to how everything's going in Merrill.
Yeah.
And that's something I think most viewers could get behind, because it would basically base you on job performance.
Yeah.
If you're doing well, getting jobs in here and getting
Good paying jobs.
good paying jobs in, at least. I mean, if there's a bunch of minimum wage jobs, well, you're gonna see the mayor's
Mm-hmm.
price drop. But if everything's good and we're thriving, thriving city, I don't want to go to Metropolis at all. That'd be too much, I think, for Merrill. Your wages would go up though.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so the cost increase of going from part-time to full-time, it'd be 12,000 to, I don't have the exact median, but it's somewhere around 40,000. So that's increasing it 30, 38, around there.
Right, but you're also adding
$28,000.
Right, you're also adding on. How many hours would you say that you're working right now?
15 consistently. I'm trying to get it up to 20.
Okay, so you would basically be going from 15 hours a week to up to about 50 to 60 hours a week. I mean,
yeah,
really,
that's
the
the
mayoral position is not a 40-hour full-time job. It's
No,
a 50, 60-hour full-time
definitely.
job. So you're talking, if people want to break it down, you're working 60 hours a week, you make 48,000 a year. Do your math. It's, like maybe $15 an hour or something
Mhm.
like that. So, I mean, most people are making that in this area anyway. So I
Yeah.
think most people could go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when would you want to start pushing for this? I know this is kind of, just
Right now, it's not a huge priority because
there's
it's-
other things.
Yeah, and it's 4 years out. The change, it can take place, but it won't go into effect until the end of my term. So that's, why do it now and then wait 3 years when
Okay,
there's
so year from
higher
now,
priorities?
where do you want Merrill to be where it isn't right now?
I would like to see a new business in Book World, across the street where Checkered Churn was. Businesses on Main Street, businesses on the west side. There's nowhere to buy discs anymore. I did talk to one business owner that it sounds like he's going to start selling discs in his shop. So we'll have disc golf back in, a place to
Yeah.
buy disc golf discs.
Well, I know we
again.
lost our hobby store here not too long
Yeah,
ago.
and that was a big hit, because where do you go to buy hobby items? I used to
sewing,
buy, Yep.
board games, card
Yeah.
games, and disc golfing is. He also did pool, darts. I knew him pretty well. He was just wanted to retire. So if anyone's interested, I mean, please, by all means, buy
Yeah.
another hobby shop.
right? And I'd like to see another skate/bike shop. I'd like to see more restaurants. It's
More local restaurants, not company chain ones, right?
yeah, both.
Yeah.
Because just because it's a franchise, I'm not gonna not go there. I just want more options.
No, true. There is truth behind that. I'm glad that we got Los Mezcal, and that was a great addition to
Mhm.
what we do have. But it was hard to see Pine Ridge Restaurant move to where the old
Champs.
it wasn't Champs.
Champs. Yep.
Yeah,
And-
where that was, but business is business, right?
Yeah, and I'm a big Arby's fan, so
Okay.
Arby's coming to Merrill is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and there's just several other things too going on. I mean, Pine Ridge, Park City Credit Union just finished their
Mhm.
building. I mean, talk to us how impressive that was.
Yeah, so I was at the ribbon cutting ceremony. I gave a little speech, and in my speech, I was trying to make the point that I love seeing such a new modern building kind of stand as a monument to people visiting Merrill. getting off the interstate, coming into Merrill, and they see this huge new development. I think Park City does a great job at branding their company. You see that green logo and the little green circles. It's a great brand. And it being a credit unions are a little different than normal banks. It's more about the offering members a service. So with a credit union, you pool all the members' money together, and you kind of grow together. It's a cooperative type business structure. As a member, if the company's doing well, you do well.
Right.
So it's just, and they've been around decades, I think 70 or 80 years, and that building was made possible by all the members over all those years, all the homes that were purchased, all the student loans, the business loans, just
car
basic,
loans.
Savings accounts. And I think it's great to see that we have this great structure now that stands as a symbol of all that community work.
Right. So, one final question for you before we get off. I know you got a lot of other things you got to do today.
I got a Board of Public Works meeting at 4.
Okay. This is a simple question.
All right.
Would you come back on Bluejay Chat
Oh,
again?
of course.
Because
Definitely.
I think we can get Dr. John Sample and you to
That'd be interesting to
together to kind of go over kind of what happened, kind of how can we get Merrill and the school district working more hand in hand. Because I want to think that the school district and the city do well together. So
I could have brought this up earlier. So the school district has the high school has that partnership with Weinbrenner Shoes.
Right.
And I've actually used that as an example. There's a business in Merrill that's looking to move to a new location and keep the business in Merrill. And they're also, but like any business, you gotta weigh the pros and cons and look at other options. So the CEO gave me a call, and he was looking at what can Merrill offer as an incentive to grow a business in Merrill. And he was concerned about the workforce. Like, if we have great workers, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, you want to be where you're going to have good workers.
Right.
And so I gave that example to him. Our school district partnered with a local business, and we're teaching the next generation of workers. And I think that's a great example to any business that's looking to move to or expand in Merrill, because the school wants to, when a kid graduates, the school wants to make sure that that kid is ready to succeed.
Right. The school district, the way Dr. John Sample, I've heard him put it sometimes, is we are a business, and our business is putting out the best product that we can, our product being the students. Just so happens that we're government funded and all those other things, so no one looks at it as a business, but really it is. And if the students succeed, then the school succeeds. Just so that businesses, if any business is watching this, I hope they are, because if they're wanting to be a part of Merrill, this is the best show to watch.
Definitely.
The Merrill Area Public Schools put out $2 million last year in college certificates and stuff. I'm missing the word right now. So
Scholarships.
Scholarships, thank you. And $2 million in scholarships. Now, you might sit there and go, oh, we got a lot of kids. Well, no, this was the lowest graduating number since 1950, like 1950 something. I can't remember the exact date, but I looked at that and said, wait a minute, we have 160 students, I think it was, something like that. You do your math, that's how many thousands of dollars going to a student.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not, not Merrill Area Public Schools awarding this. This is local businesses, local people donating their money to students' education and
Mm-hmm.
going forward to pursue their best career. Now, some of them obviously didn't get a scholarship, but that just makes you think, what is that student's talent? And it might be working in a factory, doing the long hours and knowing this is the best way to go for my life, and it might be
Mm-hmm.
best for your business. So
Yeah, and so I went the college route, but
I did not.
I moved back. I have tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And I look at my friends that didn't go the college route. They went right into the workforce, and they already own their own houses. Well, I own a house too, but that just put me further in debt. They have more in the bank. They have nicer cars. Like they kind of got a 5-year head start on me. They were able to just start their life.
Right. Well, and it also depends too, because I have friends that went the college route and have very much succeeded. I have friends who took the college route and they're kind of, they're in the same boat you would be. They got their house, they got a car that gets them from working
Mm-hmm.
back, but they'll succeed farther down the road. Whereas I've got friends like me who didn't go to college route and are succeeding in what they're doing. And I got friends who didn't go to college and are bouncing from job to job to job, and they're all not the greatest jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it all depends on you, the person.
Yeah.
And I would say that not just to our students who watch this, but to anyone who's struggling watching this. It all depends on you, the person. And Merrill is a good place to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what you make out of the town, not what the town makes out of you.
Yeah, the main reason I moved back to Merrill was I saw the opportunity here. There's, the nature
Yeah.
was probably number one actually, but it's, if I would have moved to a big city, which there are a few reasons why I didn't want to do that, but if I were to, it would have been much more difficult to succeed in my eyes. I'm wired differently than other people. Maybe that's where they see themselves succeeding. But I thought that Merrill is a place where there's a lot to do, to be done, and I wanted to come and do some of that. I thought,
Help be a part of that change.
yeah, I thought Merrill should have more disc golf. I came back, me and my friends lobbied for a new disc golf course, which we got.
How many do we have now?
We now have 2 9-holes. So
Okay.
there's 6 new baskets in Stang's Park, and then across the street there's 3 in Kitchenette.
Okay.
So it added together, it's a new 9-hole course. We're looking at more places to put some disc golf. Right when I moved back, there was a push to get a new skate park. It kind of fizzled out because a location couldn't be decided on. But once I became mayor, I made a special committee of skateboarders and park and rec representatives, and that new committee now has already decided on a new location just this past Monday. They've sent that recommendation on to the Parks and Rec Commission. If accepted, we now have a location picked out. The next step will be for the skate park committee to decide on design, and then after that, looking at funding options, kind of using the committee to explore.
Okay, can you
a larger-
disclose where that location would be, or is that?
So, so it was a public meeting.
Okay.
The recommendation was to put it at Streeter Square.
Okay.
It's centrally located. I like it because I think the response time, if anything's going to happen, if we put a skate park way out somewhere and someone is skating alone and gets hurt, there's no one around to see them. That worries me a little bit. But centrally located point. It's highly visible, so if anyone falls down and gets hurt, people are going to see. They'll be able to call it in. The response time from both the police station and fire department will be
minutes.
Both of them are really. They're located right next to there. It's near the center Main Street area, not the west side Main Street, they say, but center of town. I just think
it's a central location for kids and adults really who like to skate to come together and just.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that this will kind of put a shot in the arm of that park. I think that park could see more development, potentially bathrooms, a fountain.
I mean, we're the city of parks, and that's probably our one of our least used parks in the whole city. So I'll agree with that.
And I think making that park as great as it can be, and having it so close to Main Street, it's just going to be a win-win all the way around.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to let you get to your meeting here. I don't know exactly what time it is. We don't exactly watch.
Oh, I got to run.
Yeah, we got to run. All right. For Derek Woellner, I'm Nathan Meyer. Thanks for watching Bluejay Chat, and we'll try to get Derek on with Dr. John Sample here very shortly. Stay tuned for the Dr. John Sample episode this month.
See you.